They went into the tent of the congregation. They washed as the Lord commanded Moses. So I said, we Muslims are still fulfilling another biblical commandment. Though we haven't got the label of a Jew, nor yet that of a Christian. Yet in all humility we claim that we are more Jewish than the Jews and more Christians than the Christians. In this, that we are trying to follow in the footsteps of the prophets. It went down so beautifully, so beautifully. Went inside the masjid, time for salat, so sit down at the back, made them to sit against the wall, and they watched the Muslim at prayer. And I came and referred to them that everything that we did, including the sujood, was in your book, sir. It is in his book. I says, you remember, you read there, it says, and Abraham fell on his face and prayed to God. I'm quoting from the Old Testament of the Christians. And Abraham fell on his face and prayed to God. And I quote again, and Moses and Aaron fell on their faces and prayed to God. And again, and Joshua fell on his face and prayed to God. When we come to the New Testament, we read that was his last days on earth, Jesus Christ. He went to the Garden of Gethsemane and he said to his disciples, wait and watch, pass up. And he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed to God. Ask them, how does a man fall on his face and pray? Except the way we Muslims do. But they are ashamed to humble themselves like their God did. It's an amazing thing. Everything the Muslim does is in his book. It is there. But he, poor man, he doesn't know. He's reading, but he doesn't understand. We understand, but we don't explain. So after the salat was over, we go back to the house, have some tea and samosas. And while we're having tea and samosas, I had an idea. I says, Mr. Beer, have you seen the Quran? He says, no. I said, would you like to have a look at it? I said, Deedat, have you got an English translation? I said, yes, sir. So I said, no. He says, I don't mind. So I had this same translation by Yusuf Ali, but it was in 3 volumes. You know, the paper was a bit rougher than this. So, you know, it was very bulky, so they divided it into 3 parts, 10 siparas each. So I had it in 3 parts. Same Quran, page for page same, but very much bigger and bulkier. So it was in 3 parts. So between one couple I gave one part, between the second couple I gave another part, and the last volume I gave to my boss. I said, have a look, sir. So they opened the book. It's natural, inquisitiveness. So we just opened the book and started looking. So I suggested to my boss, what I'm suggesting to you, my brothers and sisters, every night. Open the index. I said, open the index. Look up the subject Moses. If it was a Christian, I said, open the subject Jesus. Look, he's a Jew. I said, open the subject Moses. So he opened Moses. Beautiful references. Then I said, look, sir, why don't you look up exactly what it has to say? You know, these are only references. So he opened somewhere, he had a look. He opened somewhere else, I'm watching them. Then he looks up to me, he says, Deedat, this book is very funny. I said, what is funny about it, sir? He said, look, Deedat, this book is speaking in our favor. See, but you people are all against us. So I said, it is true, sir. I said, you see, sir, the Egyptians, you know, set hard tasks for your people. They killed your sons and kept your daughters alive. In that was also a bitter sting. Why were they keeping your daughters alive? You knew why they were keeping them alive. And they said, hard task for you, making bricks without straw and what not. They enslaved you, a free people that went there, they enslaved you. So, and you people were a people of God, believed in God. Those were all idol worshippers, the Egyptians. So God Almighty is telling us that the Egyptians have been unjust to your people. But today, sir, I said, you see, you have usurped our lands. He says, Deedat, how can you say that? Palestine belongs to us. So I said, how, sir? How, sir? How does Palestine belong to you? And he knew his Bible better than many of us know our Quran. So he started quoting from the book of Genesis, chapter 17, verse 8. He quoted. He says, and I will give unto thee, Allah Bari Ta'ala speaking to Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. He said, I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee, the land wherein thou art a stranger, the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, that's Palestine, for an everlasting possession, and I will be the God. Means I will see to it that you are protected. God Almighty promised it to us. And this is how they have programmed the Christian world. This is the promise of God to the Jews. If they go against the Jew, they are going against God. Can't you see? Like zombies. Everybody is being led like zombies into this. So my boss, in good faith, is telling me, he said, look, Palestine belongs to us. God promised it to us. So I said, excuse me, sir. You see, the Bible gives us a test. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18, verses 21 and 22, we are told that, and if thou say in thine heart, how shall we know the word which the Lord has not spoken? Suppose this was not given by God. Suppose God didn't utter those words about giving Palestine to Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. How are we to know whether it was such a promise was made or it wasn't made? That the word Lord had not spoken. When a prophet speaketh, says the book of Deuteronomy, in the name of the Lord, in the name of God, if the thing follow not, if that thing doesn't happen, nor come to pass, that is the thing the Lord hath not spoken. Because wa'adallahu haqq. If Allah makes a promise, his promise is true, must come to pass. If the thing didn't happen, then that is the promise that was not made by Allah. But the prophet had spoken it presumptuously. Thou shalt not be afraid of him. Now they believe that a prophet can speak presumptuously on his own. We believe that a prophet can't do that. He's only a mouthpiece of God. Whatever Allah Bari Ta'ala puts into his heart and mind, only that he can utter, not what he feels like. But according to the Christian Bible and the Jewish Bible, the prophets can speak, shoot it off, off the cuff, anything what they like. So I said, look, this is a test. Is it a valid test? He said, of course it's a valid test. I said, let's apply it. Let us apply to this prophecy. It's a prophecy that Ibrahim alayhi salam was going to get the whole of Palestine, Canaan, for an everlasting possession, him and his children. So I said, you see, sir, the day when Abraham died, it says in Genesis chapter 25, verses 9 and 10, and his sons, Isaac and Ishmael, buried him in a cave. Buried Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam in a cave. The field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Het. There was Abraham buried. There was Abraham buried and Sarah his wife. They were buried in the same place. What land? What he had purchased with hard cash. He got nothing for nothing. He paid for it, according to the Bible, your book. So in other words, he had nothing. And we are told that he didn't have enough land to rest his foot upon. Not 1 square foot of land he owned. What was given to him for nothing. This is what he had to buy with his sweated labor. Then in the book of Hebrews, for the Christians now, chapter 11, verse 13, these Hebrews, you know who? Again, Paul. Well, we use him. This Paul says, these all died in faith. All these prophets, were given promises. Allah, promised them the golden carrot dangled before them. He said, these all died in faith, not having received the promises. Not having received. They didn't receive it. Allah was dangling this carrot before them, like a donkey. Come, come, come. And they were being led. This is what Paul is telling us. But having seen them afar off, you see that golden carrot, donkey, far, far, you keep on going for it, they receive nothing. So I said, now, is it true, sir? Is it true that they didn't receive the promises? They got nothing. He got nothing. He was supposed to get the whole of Palestine for an everlasting possession, and he didn't own, not 1 square foot of land was given to him. Is it true? So, well, his book says so. So I said, therefore, this promise could not be of God. And the battle was over. A sincere man. Since Allah says, minhumul mu'minuna, among them there are good people, wa aktharuhumul fasikun. The majority of them are perverted transgressors. But there are good people. He said, no, I can see the point. He's my boss. But I didn't want to cut short the discussion. We wanted to pursue this further. So I said, you see, Mr. Beer, I am prepared to concede that God did make such a promise. As if Palestine was my father's property. I'm prepared to give it to you, in other words. So I said, now, the prophecy is, I will give unto thee, means Abraham, and to thy seed after thee. I said, who is the seed of Abraham? She said, we, the Jews. I said, no doubt. You are the seed of Abraham, but are you the only seed? I says, in the book of Genesis, the first book of your Torah, no less than 12 places, Ishmael, that's how they say it. Ishmael is described as the son and seed of Abraham no less than 12 times. And as for Ishmael thy son, and as for Ishmael thy seed, it says 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation because he is thy seed, no less than 12 times. So I said, you see, sir, you are the seed of Abraham, and the Arabs are also the seed of Abraham. And he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed to God. Ask them, how does a man fall on his face and pray? Except the way we Muslims do. But they are ashamed to humble themselves like their God did. It's an amazing thing. Everything the Muslim does is in his book. Everything that we did, including the sujood, was in your book, sir. It is in his book. As you remember, you read there, it says, and Abraham fell on his face and prayed to God. I'm quoting from the Old Testament of the Christians. And Abraham fell on his face and prayed to God. And they went into the tent of the congregation. They washed as the Lord commanded Moses. So I said, we Muslims are still fulfilling another biblical commandment. Though we haven't got the label of a Jew, nor yet that of a Christian. Yet in all humility we claim that we are more Jewish than the Jews and more Christians than the Christians. In this, that we are trying to follow in the footsteps of the prophets. It went down so beautifully, so beautifully. Went inside the masjid, time for salat, so sit down at the back, made them to sit against the wall, and they watched the Muslim at prayer. And I came and referred to them that, and I quote again, and Moses and Aaron fell on their faces and prayed to God. And again, and Joshua fell on his face and prayed to God. When we come to the New Testament, we read that was his last days on earth, Jesus Christ. He went to the Garden of Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, wait and watch, pass up.